Barnacle's still going about the game last night. All right, joining us now, national political correspondent for NBC News and MSNBC, Steve Kornacki. His new book, The Red and the Blue, the 1990s and the Birth of Political Tribalism, is out now, and it could not be more timely. Steve, great to see you. I want to dive into a new poll showing the Democrats' top pickup opportunity in the Senate, becoming a much tougher race. The NBC News Marist poll in Nevada shows Republican Senator Dean Heller now with a 2-point lead over Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Rosen, 46% to 44%. That's a statistical tie, of course, but Rosen had been ahead in every public poll since July. What do you see here?
Yeah, to put it in some perspective, in terms of pickup opportunities for Democrats, Dean Heller is the only Republican running for re-election in 2018 in a state that Trump lost in 2016. So a Clinton state Republican running for re-election. And then you add in just last week, of course, the Kavanaugh drama, Dean Heller voting for that nomination. This poll showing that it maybe is close to a wash, a little more opposition to Kavanaugh than support. But for Democrats, look, any path to Senate control for them absolutely requires Nevada. It's not sufficient, but it's necessary for them to get Nevada. If you have Democrats falling behind in Nevada, and it comes on top of the news we've been talking about the last couple of days out of Tennessee, out of Texas, out of North Dakota, those three alone could block Democrats from getting control. You add Nevada to that, it really feels like there's two different tracks of sort of stories emerging here when it comes to the midterms. On the Senate side, things have taken a pretty big step in the Republicans' favor, it seems, the last week or 10 days. On the House side, though, Democrats still absolutely in position potentially to win that back.
You mentioned it. We've seen movement toward Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee. It's been a tight race. Bredesen up in some polls. She's opening up a little bit of a lead there. What's going on there, and more broadly with Republicans? Does it have to do with the Kavanaugh affair?
Yeah, we started to see the movement in Tennessee, though, before the vote, but maybe as the Kavanaugh thing started to galvanize this idea of Republican interest. The thing I'd been looking for in Tennessee is just the idea of political gravity asserting itself. This is a state that went for Donald Trump by 26 points. This is a state that hasn't elected a Democrat to the Senate since Al Gore back in 1990. And it's a state where Phil Bredesen, the former governor running for as a Democrat, was kind of defying political gravity. The reason was, as the governor, he's detached from Washington, he's detached from the National Party label, and he's very personally popular. Blackburn had some issues of her own on the Republican side in terms of unity there. So all summer you saw that you were looking at polls that showed Bredesen's personal popularity well over 60%. Dream numbers for a Democrat in a red state. But if voters in Tennessee start looking at this as, hey, national Democrat versus national Republican, we know how they're going to go.
We know how they're going to go there, but of course that's why a governor has a better chance of keeping it close. We'll see what happens. Still a long way to go. Tennessee's actually a more likely pickup for Democrats than Texas, which seems to me is going to be a real stretch. But we talk about the Senate. Obviously, the Kavanaugh affair had an awful lot to do with that. But you go over to the House and you look at a new poll that's out on the generic ballot test. Democrats have a 13-point lead up to, since September, a 13-point lead on the generic ballot test. That's obviously pretty darn significant, Steve. But again, it comes down to intensity. What percentage of those 54% are going to be coming out and voting? What percentage of the 41% are going to be coming out voting? When you're talking about midterms, it's all intensity, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the CNN poll yesterday. Look, the one thing I'm curious about that is that CNN poll on that question of the generic ballot. It's been wider, I think, consistently through the year than a lot of other polls. So we've seen in the last week, this NPR Marist poll that showed that energy gap narrowing. It had the generic ballot at 6. There was another that had it at 8. Now CNN clocks in at 13. I'm curious to see subsequent polls over the next week or so if it shows there really has been a trend closer to that CNN level, or if maybe that is a touch or two too rosy for Democrats. So that's one thing to keep in mind with that. But yeah, I mean, when I say there's two different tracks emerging here, a Senate side that looks pretty good for Republicans and a House side that has a lot of opportunities for Democrats, I think it's particularly the issue here. We talk so much about the suburbs, about women in the suburbs. I saw another poll that came out just yesterday. Barbara Comstock, a Republican running for re-election in the suburbs of Northern Virginia, outside D.C. poll yesterday, again has her double digits behind in that race. She's running in a Clinton district, and that is where the headwinds are the fiercest when you're a Republican this fall.
Steve, your phrase, political gravity, apply it to Texas, Beto O'Rourke, great enthusiasm. What's the reality in Texas, do you think?
The reality is Texas is still a state that went for Donald Trump by 9 points in 2016. Now, that was better for Democrats than they've been doing. It was 16 points for Romney over Obama in 2012, came down to 9 points. Democrats have been saying, look, that's part of a longer-term trend that you've been seeing of Texas with demographic change, making it a little more friendly. They think Trump maybe accelerated that a little bit in suburban areas around Houston in particular, and that maybe if you get a midterm environment with really juiced up Democratic base, you could get sort of a perfect storm. Add in that Ted Cruz has some of his own issues in the state. But yeah, I think political gravity in Texas, even in a year like 2018, probably still looks like a Cruz advantage of 4 or 5 points. And there was one poll probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago right now that had O'Rourke leading by 2 points. Otherwise, every single poll I've seen in this has still shown Cruz ahead.
Yeah, David Ignatius, obviously, we still are about a month out. And I think it was Harold Macmillan or a British prime minister after him that said in politics a week is a lifetime. Well, 3-4 weeks, a very long time. There's no doubt you look at those Senate numbers, they have been impacted by Kavanaugh. I'm just curious, actually, what do polls look like a week from now, 10 days from now? They could be quite different.
I think that's the right question. We are in a post-Kavanaugh bounce for the Republicans. They're motivated. We'll have to see how all these factors at home and abroad play. You could have foreign crises, for example, coming out of the apparent death of my colleague Jamal Khashoggi and the Trump administration's reaction. It's a very fluid period. I'm fascinated by Steve's view that this is diverging, that there's a House narrative and a Senate narrative. Again, good candidates, a wave of surprising news, and Steve, that those numbers could move around, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the House side in this thing, I highlight the suburban areas there where those are the obvious opportunities, for Democrats. There's 25 districts out there that Hillary Clinton won in 2016, but that are now represented by Republicans. And when you look at the ones particularly, right outside Kansas City, right outside New York City and New Jersey, right outside D.C., in Southern California, outside Denver, I can think of another one. You're seeing, I think, some of the most significant movement away from those Republican incumbents, away from those Republican-held seats. The question to me on the House side has been, I sort of believe in those areas we've seen and will continue to see a blue wave. The question is that wave going to get bigger? Is it going to expand to some of those districts where Trump was winning by 5, 10, even more points? For Democrats to get the House by a comfortable margin even, that's where that wave needs to expand to.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.